The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes as we have a few others that are still logging in. Hello to those who are just joining us and logging in. We are going to get started in just another minute. Okay, with 3 minutes past the hour, we are going to begin our webinar today. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are going to dive into our Antarctica webinar, and I'd like Carolyn to kick us off. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, Beth. Thank you, and welcome everyone to another Coffee with Carolyn presentation. Beth Mercier is taking us on an expedition journey to Antarctica, the southernmost continent, which is receiving lots of attention as one of the most sought-after adventure destinations. But first, I have big news to share. Due to the popularity of our weekly adventures, we have been encouraged to extend our travel talks through May, and we have a spectacular lineup for you. Next week kicks off with Jeff Adam, who covered both Africa and Australia for us last week. He invites us to explore New Zealand next Thursday. And if you are on this webinar, you are automatically registered. Jeff is going to continue his journeys throughout May, covering Tahiti and Fiji, South Africa, and ending with Kenya. These, however, will be separate registrations, but not to worry, the instructions are covered in our follow-up email tomorrow. But for the following week, we are gifted with the talents of German tourist board Carolyn Belcher. I've trained with her over the years, and she is providing an overview of the entire country, highlighting unique experiences in each region. This will not only be a great education, but filled with her stories and travel tips. May 20th, grab your beach towels. We're heading to the Caribbean, visiting beaches, resorts on Turks and Caicos and also Jamaica. So many of us miss being with friends and distant family members, and now is a great time to gather virtually to plan a vacation together. I think I need a lawn chair and a cool drink to enjoy this talk. And then our grand finale, the Ireland Tourist Board, is going to bring us together for our last journey. Anna Mannion is another travel advisor trainer, and you're going to love her accent and the fact that she's also going to share her stories and adventures as we tour her island together. We encourage you to share these events with others. These are opportunities I never thought possible, to bring to you the top destination specialists who train travel advisors. It's just such a great treat. Now I get to set you off on an adventure to Antarctica with our own expedition guide, Beth Mercier.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And hello, everyone. I am so excited to be chatting with you today. My name is Beth Mercier. I'm the Regional Sales Director for North America with a company named Quark Expeditions. And for those of you who might not know us here at Quark Expeditions, we are the leader in polar adventures. We've been specializing in the Arctic and Antarctica for the past 3 decades. I have a travel background myself. My father was a commercial airline pilot, and so I saw a lot of different parts of the world from a young age, and I was so fortunate to have that experience. But it was only until I tried the world of small ship expedition cruising where my eyes opened on how truly beautiful and phenomenal these polar destinations and remote areas of the planet can be. So I'm really excited to be chatting with you today. I just got back from my 4th voyage to Antarctica, and I'm excited to walk you through this virtual journey. Now, but before we dive in, I did want to go over a little bit of the housekeeping items. And we've taken a screenshot of the example of the GoToWebinar attendee interface. And right now, you're most likely listening to the webinar using your computer speaker system, which is the default setting. If you would prefer to join us over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. Just as an FYI, right now we have everyone on mute to avoid background noises, but we don't want that to stop you from asking questions. So feel free throughout the presentation to type it into the questions box that you also see on your interface pane. At the end of the webinar, we'll spend some time answering those questions. Okay, with that in mind, I'd like to now take you to a journey to Antarctica. Firstly, I like to talk about where exactly in the world this beautiful continent is and some of the geography. If you've done a little bit of research about Antarctica, you will know that there are 2 main access points to this beautiful continent. Most typically, the access points are through South America, and then alternately, there are a few departures that leave out of New Zealand. However, there is quite a difference between these 2 experiences. From South America, it takes roughly about 36 hours to sail from the tip of Argentina down to the continent. Alternately, out of New Zealand, it's a 7-day crossing each way. So here at Quark Expeditions, all of our trips are out of the South America side simply because it's a lot more accessible, but then there's so much to see and do, which we will cover and show you some beautiful images in just one moment. Now, Antarctica is the world's 5th largest continent. It's roughly twice the size of Australia. 98% is covered by ice. And there's only very specific times of year that you can access this beautiful destination. So we'll be sure to cover that in today's webinar. Talking more about the access points, how do I even get to this beautiful destination? Well, you do have to access the continent from a ship. There are really only a select few land-based programs, which are mostly research stations, military. There's no hotels or anything like that in Antarctica. So for most of us tourists that are going down to Antarctica, your ship will be your hotel for the itinerary. But initially, when flying from North America or other parts of the world, you will most commonly fly down to Buenos Aires, Argentina. This is a lovely area. In fact, walking the streets of Buenos Aires reminds me of walking the streets of Paris or some of the other beautiful European cities, as the builder, the architect of Buenos Aires, took their favorite European inspiration to build this city. There, I recommend one night, maybe taking a dinner and tango show before you fly down to a small town of Ushuaia, Argentina. This is where you're physically gonna get on board the ship and set sail to Antarctica. Now, alternately, there is an option that Quark Expeditions offers, which is something called the fly cruises. I get a lot of questions about the fly cruises, and we will cover this in a moment, but if you are going on a fly cruise, instead of Argentina, you're going to come in and out of Chile. So there's 2 access points, both in the southern tip of South America. Now, when we are sailing to this destination, you will go through a body of water called the Drake Passage. Now, this is an infamous body of water. It can be quite turbulent, or it can be as calm as a lake. So I've had both experiences in my times going to Antarctica. It is a little bit of a flip of a coin up to Mother Nature. For about 24 hours as you're sailing down to the continent, yes, the seas can be a little rough. I usually recommend to take any precautionary seasickness medication, maybe avoid the alcoholic beverage, relax, get to know your expedition team members, and familiarize yourself with the ship. Because once you get through that 24-hour time period, you are in calm, protected waters throughout the entirety of your experience. But even after I set those expectations, it can look like this nice scenery, or it can get a little bit more rough. So there is an opportunity, instead of sailing down to the continent out of Ushuaia, you do actually have the opportunity to take one of the fly cruise programs. And the fly cruise programs, instead of coming in and out of Ushuaia, you're actually going to fly to a little town called Punta Arenas, Chile, most accessible from Santiago, Chile. And we will embark one of these charter aircrafts that you see on the left-hand side there, and you can actually fly down to the continent where your empty ship is just waiting for you and your fellow passengers. You get on board this ship, you head down to the continent, and you have the same type of experience. So these are the methods of which you can actually access the continent of Antarctica. Now, regardless of the type of itinerary that you choose and the method of which you go down, whether it's sailing or flying, you're going to have the same opportunity to see the beautiful scenery in Antarctica. And of course, what is some of the most popular things to see in Antarctica but the penguins? The penguins are the most adorable, hilarious creatures I've had the opportunity to see. There is a total of 17 species of penguins in the world, and you have the opportunity to see roughly 9 to 11 depending on the areas of which you go into Antarctica. There are some specific penguin species depending on the areas of which you visit, but all of them are equally hilarious and beautiful, and you have the opportunity to see them every single day when you're in Antarctica. In addition, you also get these beautiful icebergs, glaciers, old abandoned whaling stations, scientific research outposts. There is a lot to see and do in this beautiful destination. As you can see on the screen, the seasonality goes from November through the end of March, beginning of April. This is known as the austral summer in Antarctica. There is a natural amount of pack ice that surrounds the continent in their winter time, our summertime. And so right around now, actually, in April and May, this pack ice starts to form. You can physically not access the continent. No one can during this time. During its winter, it will have 24 hours of darkness. So it is a very desolate area during its winter time. But starting in October, this pack ice will begin to recede, exposing the continent, exposing the Antarctic Peninsula. And this enables ships and tourists, researchers, all to access this beautiful area. So during the early part of the season, this is a great time of year as it is the awakening. It feels very vibrant and alive in Antarctica. This is when icebergs are at their largest. You can also see adult penguins that are starting to find their mate and doing their hilarious courting rituals. When they lay their eggs in their little nests, these are made of little pebbles. They're rock nests. And when the female is sitting on the egg, the male penguin will actually go around to other nests, picking up the little penguin pebbles and bringing it over to their mate, almost like a gift. They're treated like diamonds or some sort of currency. And so all these little penguins are stealing pebbles just to bring back to their mate. And it is one of the most hilarious things I've had the opportunity to see. So this is wonderful wildlife viewing in the early part of the season. As we go towards the middle of the season, the middle of December through the beginning of February, this is right in the middle of the austral summer. So the temperatures do go up quite a bit, not a dramatic by any means, but throughout the entirety of the season, it roughly ranges from 27 degrees to about 36 degrees Fahrenheit. And the month of January is typically the warmest. And so with that warmer temperature, the ice can break up a bit. This actually enables a lot more accessibility. So if you are wanting to sail as far south to cross the Antarctic Circle, this gives you the opportunity to do so. This also promotes a lot more whale watching because the whales can access areas more. During the third week of December, this is when those adorable little penguin chicks will hatch. So during the end of December and into the month of January is the perfect time of year to see penguin chicks. Then at the end of the season, as there is so much flurry of wildlife, this is a best opportunity to see those mammals, whales and seals. They're very active during this time. This is also a beautiful time for photography as the sunsets are just so dramatic. In fact, I can remember it was about 1 a.m. in Antarctica. The sun was finally going beyond the horizon and the sky lit up in these beautiful tangerine lavender colors. It cast this beautiful rainbow glow on the water and it really took my breath away. And so really you can't go wrong throughout the entirety of the season. But if there's something that speaks to you, whether it's glaciers, icebergs, penguins, whales, there might be a particular time of year that you would want to plan your trip. Now, I'll walk you through some of the specifics in terms of where to go in Antarctica. And I like to start with this map, which there's a lot of different options on this map, but you'll see the southern tip of South America as well as the Antarctic Peninsula. And that's a really important terminology because for many people who are thinking about a trip to Antarctica, they generally really want to step foot on the continent. That is an item of importance. And when you reach the Antarctic Peninsula, you actually get to step foot on the continent. So there's so many great variations of itineraries to choose from. If you are going straight down to the continent, that is generally a 10 to 12 day itinerary. But some people really like to add in some of the sub-Antarctic islands, such as the Falklands in South Georgia. So I'll cover a little bit about those particular destinations. Now, the Antarctic Peninsula is a string of bedrock islands that are spanning about 800 miles, and they're covered in a grounded ice sheet about a mile thick. So as you can see from these pictures, there are just stunning mountain ranges, beautiful blue icebergs and glaciers. It is just awe-inspiring. You know, I had thought I had seen some impressive mountain ranges. I spent some time, I saw the Swiss Alps. I lived in Denver for not too long ago in seeing the Rocky Mountains, and I thought I've seen some impressive mountain ranges. Nope. Try multiplying those, and you'll get an idea of the magnitude in Antarctica. Now, when you're on the peninsula too, personally, the experience that I took from going to Antarctica was it felt like I was visiting another planet. It looks different. It sounds different. It smells different. There's so many different things that make your senses go into overdrive, and it is such an out-of-body experience for many people. You get the up-close and personal encounters with the wildlife. You get to follow in the footsteps of famous explorers. It's such an honor to have the opportunity to go to such a beautiful destination on our planet. Speaking of those particular itineraries, I'll give you a little snapshot of the differences if you're looking to go just down to the continent. Our most popular itinerary here at Quark is the Antarctic Explorer Discovering the Seventh Continent. This is the itinerary where you'll get on board the ship in Ushuaia, sail down to the continent, spending about 5 to 6 full days touring, and then you'll loop back to Ushuaia for a total of a 10 to 12-day voyage. For anyone who wants to avoid that Drake Passage crossing, here's the same option but in the Fly Cruise program. By avoiding this sail time, the day and a half going down and the day and a half coming back, this brings it to an 8-day itinerary. But as this is for many people a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, they generally want to spend a little bit more time. And we do have some options that enable you to sail as far south as 66 degrees to cross the Antarctic Circle. In all honesty, you're not going to see too many different things while crossing the Antarctic Circle, but you have the ability to say, wow, I did that. I crossed the Antarctic Circle. And just more time for wildlife viewing, scenery, photography, and more. So we have this option in the sail program as well as the fly cruises. Now, lastly, I thought I'd mention the Falklands and South Georgia. They're a wonderful destination if anyone has the opportunity to visit. And immediately you can see just from this picture alone, there are some differences. Where are the snow-capped mountains? And that's because the sub-Antarctic islands of the Falklands and South Georgia are more northerly to the continent, and they're about 500 kilometers east of the Patagonia coast, so they stay warmer year-round. But this is a wonderful place for bird watching, lots of penguins. You can visit the quirky little town of Port Stanley in the Falklands. You can see whales, dolphins, sea lions, so many different types of wildlife in these beautiful islands. I do think, however, South Georgia gets the rage because it's a really unique destination in our world. South Georgia is a wildlife paradise. It's located about 1,500 kilometers southeast of the Falklands. It's been nicknamed the Galapagos of the Southern Seas because of its amazing biodiversity and wildlife. What you see right here on the screen are the king penguins. And if you've ever seen that documentary, March of the Penguins, that is about the emperors, which is the world's largest penguin species. Now, those emperors are impressive, but they're very hard to spot. So I can never guarantee we will find an emperor penguin, as they usually stay much more inland to the continent. And so thus from a cruise itinerary are very difficult to see. But alternately, the king penguins are the second largest species of penguins. They're almost equal in size and stature to the emperors. And on the beaches of South Georgia Island, you can see 500,000 of them. So they're quite impressive. Imagine walking up to a white sandy beach and seeing these penguins as far as the eye can see. It's really impressive. What's also nice is that we get to visit the town of Grytviken on the island of South Georgia, where Sir Ernest Shackleton is buried. And we have a very celebratory trip actually in December of 2021 that will honor Sir Ernest Shackleton. You get to walk the footsteps, go through with historians, and it's such a wonderful opportunity for any history buffs that are interested in polar exploration. Some of those particular itineraries that feature Falklands and South Georgia include our South Georgia and Antarctic Peninsula Penguin Safari, which is a nice 16-day itinerary. Alternately, Falkland, South Georgia, and Antarctica, the explorers and kings. Really, you're seeing all the best of the islands on this particular one. And as this next itinerary is titled The Epic Antarctica, that is truly everything under the sun when it comes to seeing Antarctica. The Falklands, South Georgia, the continent, and a circle crossing all in one itinerary. What also some people love to do is combine Antarctica with Patagonia. It is such a beautiful area. Patagonia encompasses the vast southernmost tip of South America and is shared by Argentina and Chile. The region comprises the southern section of the Andes mountain lakes, fjords, and glaciers in the west, and deserts, tablelands in the east. It's home to some of the world's most remote glacial and fjord systems. There is some fun wildlife, including Magellanic penguins, sea lions, lots of seabirds. So often, whether it's combining with the Torres del Paine National Park or possibly doing a cruise that combines both Antarctica and the Chilean fjords. This is such a beautiful part of our planet that if someone's already down there and planning this trip, why not combine the two? So we have a couple different options. One that focuses purely on essential Patagonia in the Chilean fjords, and another one that combines the two destinations. So this is a fantastic opportunity if this interests you. Now, some important questions if you are considering a trip to Antarctica is really the same if you plan any trip in the future. And I know it's a little hard to think of these questions at this time, but it's such a wonderful time to start dreaming, to inspire, to really look ahead. So if you happen in the future to wish to go to Antarctica, these are some of my recommended questions to consider. Now, in times of old exploration, you might see some different ships and wonder, really, what's the accommodations going to be like? Is this going to be like army barracks or dorm rooms? Are we scrubbing dishes? That's not the case anymore. Exploration, especially to the polar regions, has really come a long way. There's wonderful ships that are built to the highest ice classification and technical specifications. Here at Quark Expeditions, all of our ships are ice class certified with open ocean stabilizers. So this is not only a very comfortable experience, but you're sailing in style as well. So I wanted to show you a few of the pictures of the ships. Our newest vessel that will set sail in 2021 is called the Ultramarine. This beautiful ship is going to have 2 helicopters. Yes, helicopters. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to access a destination not only from the sea, but from an aerial perspective as well. So you have beautiful cabin accommodations, lovely dining areas, even a spa, fitness facilities. So certainly not roughing it when you go down to Antarctica. Similar, we have the World Explorer, which is a beautiful all-suite, all-balcony vessel. And one of the things I'd like to point out about our ships, and it's really important when planning a trip to Antarctica, is that there are specific classifications depending on the size of the vessel. There is an organization called the IATO, International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators. This is the organization that sets all of the landing site guidelines, safe wildlife viewing, and Quark Expeditions is not only founding members of this organization, but we do also sit on the board of directors. And so it is important that if you are considered a Category 1 ship, that you must be under 200 passengers. And all of Quark Expeditions vessels, ranging from the Ultramarine, the World Explorer, this ship right here, the Ocean Adventurer, all of our ships are less than 200 passengers. This enables us to go to all of the landing sites in Antarctica. We also pride ourselves on getting all of the people on the ship to out and explore at the same time. And you might have read something that says only 100 people are allowed to go to shore at one time. And that's absolutely true. So while we have one group of 100 people on shore. We are simultaneously offering activities such as the Zodiac boat cruising, if you so choose kayaking program. Those are going to be happening simultaneously, and then everyone is rotated very seamlessly. So even if you have a ship that's right at the marker of 199 passengers, you still have the same opportunity to explore Antarctica as if you had a 100 passenger ship. But right when you get past that 200 mark, this limits the landing sites that you are able to explore in Antarctica. So hopefully that helps to provide a little bit more information on choosing the right ship that fits your style, and if you want to really fully access the destination of Antarctica. Okay, lastly, I did want to talk about what do you even do on board the ship while you're sailing to your destination. This is not your typical cruise-like experience. You've now entered the world of small ship expedition cruising. So instead of Broadway shows or casino night, we're actually going to have much more of an educational focus on board the ships. You will have an expedition leader and a full expedition team with varied specialties ranging from photographers, marine biologists, glaciologists, historians, and more. And each evening we'll have a daily briefing and recap of what we saw that day, but also what to look forward to the following day. We will also have onboard learning opportunities, both in a formal setting as well as informal. We'll have lecture theaters where you can attend an onboard lecture by one of our experts. But everyone is always so curious when walking around the ship, pointing out wildlife behavior, and all of our incredible guides are there to assist. One of the particular things that I actually love, in fact, this is why so many people come to Quark Expeditions as well as to see this beautiful destination, is the impromptu wildlife viewing. The wildlife is so plentiful in Antarctica that even while you are enjoying the beautiful sunshine on the sun deck as we sail by these majestic mountains, the whales could just come and say hello at any moment. So that makes this entire experience so exciting for people on board. What I also love is the opportunity to connect. Everyone starts their itinerary as strangers and leaves as family. There's everyone who comes from different backgrounds on board a Quark expedition, but with one common factor: to explore, to learn, to discover, and everyone connects, and it's a really wonderful atmosphere. And with the strong education that our expedition team and our experts provide, we turn passengers into polar ambassadors. Everyone has a passion for the polar regions. They want to promote change and awareness and draw attention to the important topics for many more years to come so that we protect these beautiful areas that we visit. Of course, we shouldn't not mention the food. We should definitely include this topic because I do get asked this question quite often. There's excellent food, wonderful chef-prepared meals throughout the itinerary. We do accommodate any dietary requests or preferences. So certainly, if that's something that interests you, you want to have an educational and active experience, but great food as well, you don't have to worry. Exercise and spa facilities on board. Of course, the lounge and the bar, which is a very popular place. But I like to mention that really the most popular reason why someone comes to Antarctica isn't just to sit on board, it's to have an adventure. And one of the most frequently asked questions that I get is, do I have to be really fit to go to Antarctica? Do I have to be the most active? Really, how rigorous is it? And it's not that case at all. In fact, I say if you can walk independently, you can go to Antarctica. Getting in and out of the little Zodiac boats is like getting in and out of a bathtub. So you have to kind of swing your leg around. You have your guides throughout the entire experience getting from the ship to the shore and navigating via the Zodiac boat the entire time. So what we notate in terms of included options and what a day-to-day itinerary entails is something called landings. And if you can imagine, the ship is your base camp for the itinerary, your home where you're going to sleep and have your meals. But the Zodiac boats, the inflatable Zodiac boats, is how we safely transport everyone from the ship to the shoreline, as well as navigating around glaciers, icebergs, going by penguins and whales. So the Zodiac boats are a very important part of the overall experience. The landings themselves can range in activity. We can have a guided landing where you actually go with a guide to a particular destination, and you can choose from a more rigorous, challenging, we call them the chargers, who want to get a good sweat in, a longer hike, medium fast, medium slow, and then contemplative. Contemplative meaning I'm going to sit right on this rock right here and look at my new penguin friends and just go at my own pace. So you get to choose from all four of those ranges. So that's one type of landing. And the other is something called a perimeter landing. And a perimeter landing is we will station our guides at different directions, and really you can explore at your own pace, taking pictures, looking at the wildlife, enjoying the scenery. So all of that is encompassed in the itinerary itself, as well as included in the cabin price. As you can see, the crazy girl on the left-hand side is doing what we call the polar plunge. This is also an option. I have done the polar plunge in both the Arctic and Antarctica, so I guess that makes me bipolar. And it is a thrilling and cold experience. I won't lie to you. I won't sugarcoat it, but it's thrilling. And you get out of the water, you jump into the hot tub, or you go into the sauna. You get a certificate to say, I survived the polar plunge. And it's a badge of honor. You feel really excited and proud to be able to have that experience. But we do also offer enhanced activities, what we call adventure options. This by no means takes away from the itinerary itself. If you don't choose to participate in these activities, you're not missing out by any means. And these might include kayaking, overnight camping on the continent, stand-up paddle boarding, and more. There's so many great ways to explore Antarctica. We really like to give you the opportunity to customize it. So this is just a great experience for all. Now, I thought I would take a moment before I continue just to see if we do have any questions. So right now, feel free, if you have a question, to go ahead, type those into the questions box. And while you're doing that, I will go ahead and share some of the frequently asked questions that we often get here at Quark Expeditions. So feel free to, if you haven't already, to go ahead and type those in. So some of the most frequently asked questions that we get here at Quark Expeditions is the minimum age. How young do you have to, or how old do you have to be, or young, to go to Antarctica? And the answer is 8 years old. So we have a minimum age of 8 years old on all of our ships, especially down in Antarctica. The other question that I often get is, what else is included in the cabin price? And as you can see, and I'll even back up to a couple different pictures here up on the right-hand side, and many of the pictures you saw, everyone is wearing their yellow parka. So this is a really important item that is included. It's yours to keep. It's a gift for you. This is a multi-layer parka. It's actually 2 jackets in one, a very nice warm inner layer, and then an outer shell. So this is a fantastic jacket that is included, as well as the rubber muck boots for all of your landings. So we outfit you with the boots and the parkas. Really, the only additional gear that you would need to pack for are waterproof pants. That's really important. Then you're going to need some accessories like hats, gloves, thick socks. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. We do send a recommended packing list. We will ensure you have all the information on how to prepare and pack for your Antarctica trip. When I do give the information that it's usually right around freezing, so 32, 33 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on where you're located, sometimes we get, oh, that's not so bad as the reaction, or, ooh, that sounds chilly. So no matter what your reaction is, we will make sure you know how to layer properly, pack accordingly, but we do include a level of gear already included for you. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions. I haven't seen any others come in, which probably means I did my job well. So with that, I do want to thank you all so much. Carolyn, this has been such a pleasure chatting about Antarctica. I don't know if you want to say a few more things before we wrap up for today.
Beth, you did a fabulous job. It was engaging and hearing your own excitement. And then recently coming back, were you there? Did you say in January?
I did one of our fly cruise programs. I had only sailed the Drake Passage before. So this past January, I was on the Ocean Adventurer and did a fly cruise program, and it was phenomenal. I loved it.
Well, I think it's a great way to not have to concern yourself with a wavy adventure to start you out, but you're right there and you're not taking that extra time. So I thought that was a great suggestion. I thought it was wonderful. People have other questions, they can always field them to me and I will pass them on to you, Beth.
Great. And I just want to mention that this webinar was recorded today, so Carolyn will be more than happy to send out a copy of the recording if you did want to share it. But thank you so much for welcoming me today. This has been really fun.
Excellent. And thank you all for joining.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.